If you happen to watch last week's episode of Heathen's Garage, you'll have heard me say that I'm going to start alternating between videos of fun projects and videos of moneymaker projects that would support the fun projects. This week is one of those supporting episodes, and it seemed appropriate to kick things off with the auction truck. It is, after all, most likely to make us money in the future. Now, if you're wondering why this is called a moneymaker project, it's because I can now sell those wheels and tires once I have these ones mounted. At least that's the plan. Did you want to be in the show, Luna? That's what you were hoping for? I'll show everybody your pretty face. You too? Yeah, you a good dog? We're not going to do this second. We are going to do it in a minute, but we got to take my old car and put it in my mom's shed, because she's got a shed that doesn't have mice in it, and that's important to me to store that car as best as I can. So we're going to take advantage of that, and this we'll carry on with in a minute. Now folks, what you're about to witness is a guy trying to start a car, and he forgot that it had a manual choke. It doesn't really go that well. Right about now is when I remembered there was a knob that I needed to pull on in order to make this thing go. Now that it's warmed up and ready for the short drive over to my mother's, it occurred to me that it didn't seem right to park something for the year without doing a burnout, so I accidentally had the gear vendors in overdrive there, so it was a little confused, and so was I, but that'll do for the end of the year. We'll see you next year, old Plymouth. Now conveniently, I had stashed Charlie at my mom's when I picked up the Plymouth a couple months ago. The ever-reliable, propane-powered 440 big block fired up without any drama, and happily gave us a free ride home. I'm looking forward to having this one back in sight and doing a few minor repairs in the coming winter months. But that's for another time. You're quite a guy, Elvis. Well, we're safely back at the place, and we're going to prepare to put some wheels on auction truck. Now, before a guy gets too carried away bolting them on, I thought maybe we could just, like, you see what they look like. We could just maybe give them a quick scuff and a little spray of paint. Just clean them up a little bit, you know? Whether or not that's the right choice, I don't know, but we're going to go for it. Now, how good your paint job turns out has everything to do with how much you prep. So we're going to prep not very much at all, because we're not overly concerned about what it looks like, but it'll be all the way black when we're done. And that's mostly what we're going for. Now, we're going to go ahead and wear a welding helmet set to grind while we do this. A, to keep the sun out of our eyes, and B, so I don't get stuff in my eyes. And that's all the prep that we're going to do. Maybe we'll clean them, but mostly we just want the rusty bits knocked off. Incidentally, I picked up these old wheels from Facebook Marketplace for a paltry $40, and they'd already been given the worst respray I'd ever seen. So I didn't feel too bad about being aggressive with the wire wheel before I paint them again with the second worst respray you've ever seen. Well, at least it looks bad. So it's got that going for it. Basically, this looks bad. You know, this is not the kind of surface you want to have while you're trying to paint. Now that I'm bored of wire wheeling, which that took about 2.5 minutes, I'm gonna give it a quick hand sand to try and get any of the loose junk off. We want the paint to stick. Like, I'm not spending more than 10 or 15 minutes on each wheel, but when I'm done, I want to be able to look at them and be like, that's better than it looked an hour ago. Not like, ugh, who painted that? So, you know, take 5-10 minutes and just give it a quick scufferoo, and probably it'll look better in an hour instead of, like, worse, you know? I'm not saying it's going to look good. I'm going to say it's look better. Better is what we're going for. To be honest, I think in retrospect, I would have been further ahead to wire wheel all of the paint off completely, rather than bother sanding at all. Naturally, that didn't occur to me while I was doing it. Well, at least not until I was working on the last one anyways. By then it was kind of too late. Regardless, after a couple minutes of smoothing it out, we blew the dust off and gave it a quick wipe down. Basically, at that point in time, we were ready to paint. With that sort of reasonably well cleaned up and washed off, and I don't know, at least it's scuffed so the paint will stick, we're ready to mask it off. Now when I say mask it off, we're doing it this way. These are business cards from a business I started, and well, actually a business I intended to start and never really started. You just jam them in there. It doesn't work very good, but it does work. There's better ways of doing this, but this will do the job for now. Now, if anybody's perturbed about the fact that I'm leaving the wheel weights on and painting over them, now this is just primer. It's a rust primer with superior rust inhibition. And we'd like them not to get rusty again. So that seemed like a good idea. Now, I do wish I would have masked it with a valve stem. That was an oversight. Or an overspray, I suppose. I could really say it. Alright, it's got a light coat of primer on it. We'll let that dry, and we'll find some paint. Well, that's dry enough. I had planned on painting these wheels black, but as it turns out, what I have on hand is about half a can of black paint. I got 2 or 3 cans of Honda Graphite Gray Metallic. Why, I'm not sure. I haven't owned a Honda in a long time, and it wasn't gray. But I got 2 cans of it, and it seems to spray still, so that's what color it's gonna be. That'll be a nice color for wheels. Gray Metallic. I won't say it's the best spraying can I've ever used. It's a little bit chunky. Make sure we get the valve stem evenly at least. If you're gonna paint the valve stem because you forgot to mask it off again, like, you better at least do a good job of the valve stem. That looks like a wheel that's painted, right? Now I just have to do that 3 more times, and we'll have a set of wheels painted. Won't that be good? Now, you're not going to believe this, but I found some clear coat, and it's even the same brand, which means it probably won't have a bad reaction and ruin the paint job. So we're even going to clear coat them. Like, it's just rattle can clear, but, you know. Now, another thing I should tell you about that I learned today is clear doesn't have a ball in it. It's just clear in here. I shook this for a very long time trying to make a ball come loose. And, well, it never happened because clear doesn't have a ball. This is the good part right here. Getting rid of all these. What do we think of that, eh? Now, it don't matter to me who you are, but that looks better than that. Or at least, I think it looks better than that. That's good enough for me.
Now the keen-eyed viewer is going to notice the brand new tires on these wheels. And for that, I owe a huge thank you to my wife and her family business, OK Tire in Lacombe. Now I wanted to do an advertisement for them, but let's be realistic. They're running a professional business, and I am, well, me. Happily, they have a marketing department that I think is what you call on point. You're about to watch the best 16-second ad I've seen in a long time.
At OK Tire, we'll fix a car that won't start, a car that won't stop, and even a car that won't stop starting by itself. Whatever the issue, it's going to be okay.
Now, despite the fact that I'm in a windstorm and halfway through painting some wheels, we have a different deal going on that is kind of like a moneymaker thing, but mostly it's like a not spending money on a thing we want. And not spending money is kind of the same as making it. Okay, there's quite a bit of backstory here, so I'll try and make it quick. This is an all aluminum 5.3. It's Buddy Kyle's. Well, sort of. It's the old possession's 9/10 of the law, and it's mine now, because it's still here. I'm tired of tripping over it, so I wanted to sell it. Now, Buddy Stace needed a new engine, because the one in his Mustang, directly after setting its PB, seemed to have some issues. Also, while he's doing that, he's putting a new turbo on. And I don't happen to be happy with the turbo that's on the Jeep, because despite my best efforts, it seems to spool kind of slow. And I don't know if the one from Stace will be better, but it will be different. And worst case scenario, it'll be a different thing to sell. Probably could have sold that 5.3, but it's kind of a good one. It's all aluminum. It's got 243 heads. It's the one you can make into 427. Like, it's the most desirable of the 5.3s you could ask for. And I don't really have use for it, if I'm totally honest, because I'm just not going to build one of those anytime soon. And I'd rather go to a buddy who is going to build it. So we need Ranger out, we need engine on hoist, and we need a buddy to show up to load an engine in.
Alright, now we get this hoisted up here.
Now, I'll be honest with you, this part's usually a disaster because we have to go through the little valley that is the floor, the trough, where that animal excrement could escape. On the plus side, we've got an all aluminum engine, and maybe that'll make it a little bit less difficult. Probably not. I know it doesn't look like a big hole, but I promise it's bigger in real life. Oh yeah, that worked way better this time. Alright, battery charger on here has been set to kill for a while, so hopefully it'll start. Okay, here we go. Oh yeah! So, the little interruption of getting rid of that 5.3 that, you know, I don't have a dime into other than letting it sit here for a very long time, netted us with this. This is a Billet versus Racing 7875 Turbo. And it's already been gone through once before by Black Sheep Industries. It's got good parts in it. I don't know what to call them. Anyways, it'll be for the Jeep to take the place of the GT45 that has definitely been working, but it's very slow to spool, and I don't want to completely blame it on the engine yet. So we're going to try a different turbo and see if that goes for us. If nothing else, this is a lot better turbo and capable of more horsepower, and, you know, like, it's just overall, all things considered, better. I don't know. It's a good deal for me, less of a good deal for him, but he gets what he needs and I get what I want. So I think that's a big win. That's what that was, at least for me. So now that it's a day or two later, are you ready to see the wheels that we finally got done? What do you think, Elvis? You like them? He approves. Now, let's be honest here. They're not perfect, but they're nicer than any wheels that I've had on the truck since I've owned it. And most importantly, they're all the same color, which it's never had since I owned it. So that's pretty good. We're gonna call that an accomplishment. And that's basically what we got done, all things considered, this weekend. Now, our leftover front two that we don't need anymore, because, you know, we got four that match, they're going to get patched and cleaned up and ready to roll. There's one that's got a leak. We're going to have to plug patch that. But they'll go on Marketplace and we'll sell them for a couple bucks. And, well, I guess technically that'll be the only actual money that we really made. But, hey, you don't win them all, I guess. Anyways, that'll be it for this episode of Heathen's Garage, folks. We'll see y'all later. Bye. Tell you what the best part is. Elvis is way more excited to go for a truck ride now than he was before. Right, little buddy? You want to go for a truck ride? Oh, yeah! Want to check them new wheels out, Elvis? Let's go for a truck ride.